Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got a bit of a nerdy philosophy video for you today about a concept I've been thinking about that I think you might find interesting. I'm not sure how applicable it is to life in general, but it's something that I've been pondering for quite a while. And there's some mathematics to this and some philosophical thinking. So it might not appeal to all of you, but it's a little bit out there, a little bit random. But I just wanted to make a video on this because I was thinking about this and I had it on my list and I'm like, man, I'm either going to make a video on this or I'm not going to make a video on this. So I decided today I am going to make a video on this. So here's the concept, is that eternity, right? The idea of infinite or eternity, right? Whether it be, eternity in terms of time going forward. So let's get a definition, right? What does eternity mean? It would mean that time stretches back as far as, like for an infinite, in the infinite direction of backwards, but also stretches forward in the infinite direction of forward, right? And so that would mean, eternity would mean eternal, like it goes in both directions to infinity, okay? So I was thinking about this idea that, how can we know if there is such a thing as an eternity? And I was thinking about, in order for eternity to exist, all functions in life, in the universe, must revert. So what does that mean? So what I mean by that is that, here's a function, right? So a function, for those of you that are not too much on the math, it would be something like, f of x. A function of x would be, x plus 1. That's a function. So if you did that, or f of x equals x plus 1. So, whatever x that you put would be, if you put x as 1, then, the result would be 2, okay? So then you could have another one. Let's say that you had a function that was, f of x equals f of x minus 1 plus 1. So, and it's hard to visualize in the mind, but basically the result of the previous version of that function of x plus 1. So this would be an incremental function. So, another way to say this without doing the mathematical term is just to say that it's something that increases, right? That if x is 1, it's 1. If x is 2, it's 2. And then it increases to some degree. So if you think about it, and there's a lot of different functions. There's like a sine curve, right, which goes like this, right? And there's a lot of different functions. But if we have linear functions or exponential functions, linear progression or exponential progression, it means that it's a linear one would be like this, it's just constantly going up, like the one we first talked about. An exponential would mean that it goes like this, and it goes this exponential curve. So if anything in the universe is linear or exponential, if it doesn't revert, if it's not like a sine curve that reverts, then eternity can't exist. Why? Because that would mean that if you go back far enough in time, right, that at some point there would be infinite of whatever that function was producing, okay? So let's say that you had a function that was producing birds. I don't know why I said birds, but let's just say that, or stars. Let's say it's generating stars, okay? If it's generating stars, okay, then over time, there's going to be an infinite number of, if you go infinitely far back, you have an infinite amount of time for that function to run, and so the entire universe should be filled with stars. It should be literally like packed 100% density of stars, okay? So whatever function is producing stars, either it has to revert and actually reduce the number of stars, or there has to be no eternity. So bear with me here. I know this I'm not a PhD in mathematics, but what I'm saying here, the kind of bigger philosophical concept, is that it must be true either that there's no such thing as eternity, that there is an actual starting point, a finite point, and some people would say, well, Big Bang, but I'm talking about the entire universe, right? And within that, there would have to be, eternity, could exist. Like time eternal, right? Because you could say, well, the universe goes through this contraction and expansion period, whatever. You could say that, which is maybe that's a possible theory for this. But I'm saying that basically either the universe is not eternal, it has some kind of starting point, right, or time, or every single thing in life will eventually revert. There will always be a reversion. There will always be something like a sine curve where every single function, if you calculate anything in life, that is going to have to come back to a starting point at some point in time. That all functions. And so I think both of those are really interesting implications, just in general, especially the idea that if we do say that there is eternity and all functions revert, then that means that everything that you are doing, everything in life is going to obey that same pattern of law. And I find that to be somewhat true, right? I mean, I find that in life that it seems like most things revert, right? You look at homeostasis and trying to obtain equilibrium, and you find that almost everything reverts in life. I don't know of anything that just continually exponentially grows, any kind of system where it doesn't eventually contract again, which is just an interesting concept. So anyway, just a little bit of a weird concept for you to think about. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm curious. Again, I don't do too many videos of this type. I think this might be the first one, but I was thinking about this a lot, and it just occurred to me. You know what I mean? It's like I just realized that if you go back far enough, if you can go back infinitely far, then anything that is a linear or exponential function, right? Anything that's an arithmetic function is going to, it can't possibly exist because it would fill everything. Like it'd be infinite. The answer, the result of that would be infinite, right? Because if you put infinity in for x and any function, and it gives you infinity as the result, that's a problem, right? Because that would mean that that can't possibly exist in this universe. It doesn't make sense. So, all right, that's really weird. Let me know what you think, though. I'm very curious to see if there's a hole in my logic here or not. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe button below and click the bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.